Hello everyone, I am today with James, which has a very good project on Kickstarter. Hello James, how are you?
I'm doing well, William. How are you?
Very good. I would like
Nice.
to know more about your project that you have on Kickstarter. Could you present it?
Sure, yeah. So the project's called Dark Forest, and it is the second setting book for GeneFunk 2090, which is a biopunk cyberpunk setting for the 5th edition rule set. And this one, the heart of it is I wanted to take I haven't really seen too much jungle adventure mixing up with the cyberpunk genre. So I took inspirations from pieces of fiction like Annihilation, Color Out of Space, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, King Kong Skull Island, and mashed them up with a lot of cyberpunk adventures. So the players visit this Peruvian valley filled with horrible biotechnology run by Gentero Corporation. And inside this jungle, you can come across every sort of thing you can imagine from jungle fiction. You know, quicksand, dinosaurs, man-eating Venus flytraps, and so on. So that's the setting of Dark Forest.
And do you have any additional mechanics in your setting?
Yeah, there's a couple things that are mechanically different. So overall, it's mostly a setting-based book, but one of the mechanics I have genetic enhancements, and those that are familiar with 5th edition, each genetic enhancement is roughly the power level of a feat, and this book has over 65 genetic enhancements, which expands from the core rule book, the number of genetic enhancements there are. So everything from prehensile tail to 4 arms to being venomous to being a pishtako, which is actually another mechanic I wanted to talk about. And that is in addition to being a genetic enhancement and a class archetype, it is this disease that you can get that, much like lycanthropy or vampirism in 5th edition fantasy setting, Pishtako disease leaves the character with cravings for raw flesh, and they have these endosymbionts inside of them that take pieces of the DNA from any raw flesh they eat, and they can take on the traits of any creature or human that they consume. So some of them may indeed be cannibals because the path to power for the Pishtakos is eating the flesh of those that they defeat. So yeah,
Okay.
those are the two mechanics that are new for this book, I'd say.
And as I see, it's a cyberpunk
Mhm.
like setting. Is there some new classes?
Yeah, there's quite a few. I have new archetypes. So the core rulebook I have has 8 different character classes. There is the biohacker, which is really digging deep into those that are mass. You could think of them as a cleric analog, but there's also a lot of DPR, like a lot of damage in there as well. So they meddle with their own DNA and the DNA of others. They're great at controlling pets. That's the biohacker. Then the code hacker, which is the classic hacker you'd think of from cyberpunk games. One of the differences is that every single person in GeneFunk 2090 has a computer inside of their bloodstream, just like we've all adopted smartphones now. In the future, I have it so that everybody has a smartphone inside of their own body. So everybody is susceptible to mind hacking. So the code hacker, in addition to being the classic code hacker from cyberpunk, is also to do a little bit of mind control. And then I have the hard case, which is the tough guy, the gunfighter, which is ranged combat specialist, the suit, which ranges from everything from the James Bond character to more tactical leader roles. So that's the face of the party usually. And then I also have the samurai, which are elite mercenaries that obey a contract just like a traditional samurai would obey their daimyo or shogun. And those are the character classes. Oh, and the crook, which is a rogue analog. So each of those new classes, they have a new archetype in this book as well. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to know more about you are playing as a GM, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm both a player and a GM. Yeah, that's right. So I'm actually right now I'm GMing a GeneFunk game and playing as a player in a GeneFunk game. Doing a lot of play testing.
Hey, could you tell me some peculiar stories or fail that you had from one of your games?
For sure. So it's a bit tropey, but a lot of funny D&D stories happen from rolling horrible rolls a bunch of times in a row, and this is no exception. So The scene is that the party is on a space shuttle going from the dark side of the moon back to Earth, and on that journey, there's tension between the party and a group of. They weren't enemies when they boarded the plane, but they became enemies. So a melee breaks out. Everyone pulls their guns and starts shooting each other in this very close quarters of a space shuttle. And one of the characters, the assassin of the group, he happens to have this really poorly made cyberware. It enhances him, but if he happens to roll 2 ones in a row while doing something physical, his heart gives out. So it doesn't outright kill him, but it takes him to 0 hit points if it's 2 ones in a row, which is 1 in 400 chance. Not really likely to happen, but of course it happens. So this gunfight breaks out, really tight quarters. Looks like a tough fight. Immediately, the assassin rolls 2 ones, drops to the ground. His heart goes on 0 hit points. Then me, I'm the hacker in the group. I try to a way to separate some of the bad guys. I try to take control of the ship's door system. So I hack into the door system, trying to shut the doors to close off the enemies from coming to get us, to separate some of them. Unfortunately, I roll a critical failure as well, and instead of closing off the bad guys, I end up just shutting all of the doors in the ship and locking them, isolating the assassin by himself. So he's by himself, 0 hit points, rolls 3 rolls below 10, and as people who play Dungeons and Dragons know, that's a death. So because of just that catastrophe of errors in the sequence, I was trying to help the fallen assassin, ended up isolating him with the shut door, where he slowly died.
Oh yeah,
that was a disaster. Yeah.
Sure. We try also to help new DMs to start. So would you have some advice to when players want to start DMing?
Sure, yeah. I've been playing since I was in grade 3, which is, in the early 80s. Like, I think 1985 was when I started playing, a long time. But I think the best way to do it is just to jump in and play. Like, it's okay if you don't understand the rules whatsoever. What's important is the storytelling element. And even though I have favorite systems, I have the systems I like, I've played enough of them to know that it really is more about the playing group and the story than the system itself. There are good systems and bad systems, but what really is most important is just having a good time with friends. And it's okay if you don't know the rules. Just jump into it, start rolling some dice, start telling some stories, and you're going to have some fun.
Okay, thank you very much, James. So I will put a link in the description for GeneFunk 2090 Dark Forest, and everybody can check it out.